any attention to them. But when we got a whole community, a culture that demanded somebody pay attention, Brian finally got his chance in front of some engineers. And you know what? They looked at his design. They said, whoa, gosh, that's cool. We never saw that before. You know, your design for a pump of its size is 10 to 15% more efficient than anything else out there. That's Brian. Now we're working on the prototype and bringing that along. Some of these people would have died without these wonderful things being, out there if we hadn't developed this culture. I even think exciting times that we live in, I think about kids. I know there's some kids here and stuff. One of my cohorts and stuff, we used to do corporate turnarounds and stuff together. He was sort of a financial genius and stuff. He bought a group or a festival called Young Cuts Film Festival up in Toronto. And we were working with a bunch of kids and stuff. And he said, these kids, they're different. Wow. I mean, when we used to have to go into a recording studio to do something, and video and all the equipment, it was over $250,000 worth of equipment. These kids can now do that kind of work on stuff they're getting at Christmas from their parents. And so they were doing videos and shortcuts and things like that. They said, incredible. So we brought those into Pepsi. And Pepsi took a look at them, and this is a little over a year and a half ago. Pepsi took a look at them and said, wow, we're paying $100,000 a minute for this when, wow, look what they're doing. It's one of the reasons why you're seeing kids now with commercials on the Super Bowl. It's amazing what we can do today. And make sure I don't go over, because I can go on this stuff forever. It's just amazing the opportunities. When we talk about the journey rate, as old dies away, which is natural, you're going to see that. It happened in Juneau County. Old died away. We're living in a day and age where it's not like it used to be, where the big ate the small. We're living in a day where the fast eats the slow. We're living in a day, just like 8-track tapes, they're gone. And then it went to cassettes. They're gone. And then it went to CDs. They're going like that. DVDs like that. It's going into digital. Old is going to die away at a much faster rate. But also, new opportunities are going to spring up at a rate we can't believe. And that's why we're talking, if we have a base of people that know the proper steps to explore an idea, are brought together so that they can network, so that they can motivate each other, so that they can educate each other, and that we can get them to the resources they need as soon as possible in economic development, it doesn't matter to me if petroleum prices spike to the moon. To Juneau County, it meant 9 new alternative fuel companies. We have an ethanol plant. We have a biodiesel plant. We have 3 different types of biodiesel. We have people working on biodiesel that is made at ambient temperature. We have people turning all kinds of other biomaterials into fuels. We have people tapping into unique things like methane out of your own septic tank, using the methane to supplement fuel. It's just amazing. 9 new companies in Juneau County. Remember, we're the worst of the worst. It doesn't matter to me if China becomes so strong in manufacturing that they gobble up all the steel. To Juneau County, it meant 2 new companies in biocomposites, 1 new company in bioresins. It doesn't matter to me if somebody comes up and says, hey, Terry, guess what? Antibiotics aren't going to work in 10 years. To not Juneau County, but the county next to us, which also comes to our club, it meant new opportunity. They've isolated certain compounds in mushrooms that have strong properties to replace the antibiotics we have. It doesn't matter to me if our economy goes down. There is some lag time, but when you have a base of people understand the proper steps to explore an idea, are motivated, educated, and networked by their peers, we'll get by. We have companies that do better in an economic downturn, and we're going to make sure that we tie into them. We've got companies that stay like this. We've got people that are grasping ideas like you can't believe. I mean, just look at the way that when we started out, we started talking about party lines. I mean, look where communication has even gone. There's more text messages sent every day than there are people on the planet Earth. There is virtual environments. I think, what is it? Is it Google? I think now has 20% of their offices are actually virtual. You go to get a job there, you first go to a virtual office. It's amazing. You know, I was asking him, since we're at Christmas, and I asked my brother-in-law, yeah, how are your kids doing? Well, he goes, well, they're up to about 2,500 text messages every month. Our kids are so interconnected around the world, it's unbelievable. Paris Hilton can't get by with anything anymore. Amazing time that we live in. You know, and I've told you that entrepreneurism is contagious. You know, it's also one of those things that's like the lottery. You can't win if you don't play. You know, I think this is a true story, and it's so, you know, neat of what we're trying to change in our culture in Juneau County. But we had started the Inventors and Entrepreneurs Club. We were only like a year and a half old at the time. Right now our club is about 6.5 years old, so it's not a flash in the pan thing. I would have dropped it instantly if it was just a flash. But this person, I was in Boston, walking to the courthouse for a meeting. This lady comes running up to me and she goes, Mr. Whipple, Mr. Whipple. She goes, you know, our family has always invented games. We've got some games that people just absolutely love. Do you think we can turn that into a business? I said, well, I think so. I think you sure can. You know, she says, we have a lot of people that just think our games are the greatest thing in the world. So I tell you what, I go, why don't you come to the next Inventors Club meeting? It's this week, Thursday. She goes, I know about it, yes, yep, I'll be there. And she took off running and I took off, you know, to the courthouse and stuff. Well, I get to the club meeting that week, and I walk in, and at the time, Dave, the president of the club, he goes, Terry, you know, the funniest thing happened. He says, I was down at a show in Chicago, and I just stopped into the bar and stuff, and I ran into this guy that buys games. That's what he does all over the world, and sells them and markets them, and you know, we just talked about he's looking for some good, really cool games. Remember what happened after 9/11? You couldn't even find games on a shelf. The whole world had changed. Well, he's looking for games. And I thought, that is so awesome. Is there any way that you got the name or something that I could contact that person, Dave? And he goes, I got better. He gave me his card. And Dave hands over the card to me. And I grab the card, push it down, grab the card, and I run over to the door and I go, I cannot wait till that lady shows up. This is going to blow her away. And so I'm standing by the door and I'm waiting and waiting. You know, and the club's going to start in about 2 minutes and I have to start it, so I'm waiting. All of a sudden it's time to start the club. And I thought, I'm just going to let him wait. This is going to be so awesome. So I'm waiting, and then finally 5-10 minutes, thought, it's time, I got to go. So I went to start the club meeting. She didn't show. I didn't get her name. I even put this in the paper. It's a true story. Opportunity came her way. The thing that you can't win if you don't play. And guess what happened? Thank God. You know, we have people that have come to our club day or month after month, and even though they get a lot out of it, that spectacular thing hasn't hit yet. But you know, there's plenty in our club that has. We have a software developer. We talk about new ways to communicate. Came up with another new one. It's a desktop media channel that you can develop into a desktop wine channel, desktop survival channel, desktop pets channel, anything. And it bypasses sort of the web, you know, of the internet. It's sort of like your own personal internet with your customers, where you communicate, where you, all these things, blogs, all these things are right there, and it launches you onto the internet. But he came to a club meeting, guess what? $250,000 for Now he's, introducing it to the market. Street.com. Dow Jones is looking at it. So, who knows? Who knows? But that's what's happening in our club. You can't win if you don't play. The reason we actually started other clubs, talk about our culture, we started other clubs is because we started, remember this, we're Juneau County. We're the worst of the worst. And all of a sudden we got 40, 50, 60, 70 people come in every club meeting, 100, 125. Well, our model was only made for like 50. So we started, oh boy, we need help. We started the counties around us starting clubs to build this culture. And it is amazing. I have to say that, and this was our plan, our hope, everything, but, start the culture, and people will notice. I give the I&E Club the credit for our 50 million gallon ethanol plant, because that's where it started. I give our I&E Club for our aerospace. Juneau County, we got the most sophisticated robots of their type of anywhere in the world in Juneau County for aerospace manufacturing. I give the credit to the club. 3,000 head dairy. I give that credit to the I&E Club. And as well as I have a degree in animal science, so that helped too, because when they called and they said, we're looking for a place to put our 3,000 head dairy, and we're looking at 3 different states. And I said, well, we can give you about anything that any of those other states can give you, but we can give you one other thing. He said, what's that? I go, we can name the 4 stomachs of the cow, And I proceeded to name the 4 stomachs or compartments of a cow. And because I got an animal science degree, it's dead silence on the end of the line, and then they just burst out laughing. And we got the 3,000 head there. So, but the other thing that helped us is they go, well, we got some of these problems we're still working on. We got some problems with the methane digester. I said, we got 2 people working with methane digesters. We got this one problem, and with biomass and different things. I go, we actually have a chemist that doesn't live in this area, but he's part of our club, and he can help you there. They were so impressed with what we had out there in our community, willing to jump in and share and help make them successful. They said, this is where we have to be. We've had 2 people move to our area just because of the culture. We got one guy that, he's, like Ken Hendricks. They're catalysts. They become serial entrepreneurs. Once they know those steps, once they're motivated, it's no telling how many businesses that you can develop. We got one guy working, and he's working on biocomposites, and he's brought 2 different companies to Juneau County from New Zealand. Bioresins and radio frequency identification devices. And we're getting all this traction from the culture. And believe me, I'll put a message out to our club and I'll get a response from Israel. I'll get a response from Canada. Everything's viral anymore. You put it out, it will go all over the world overnight. And, I guess, that's one of the important things that you're doing here, is you're going to be preparing yourself for the 21st century. We don't have a whole lot of time to do things the old way. We do need to get a little radical, because our change is not going to happen vertically. It's going to happen exponentially. When I was talking with some of the teachers, with the kids and stuff, it is that way. They're growing up. The things that we're teaching now will be obsolete. It is lifelong learning. They're going to have to reinvent themselves. Every single person that holds a job will be an entrepreneur. That is our future in everything we do. Whether we market, think about it. If you're doing the same thing you did in marketing, if you have a retail store that you were 10 years ago, you're dead. If you're doing the same thing you were doing a year ago, you're struggling. You've got to come together as a community and tap into the most current, the most creative, for the future. I already told you. The fast will eat the slow. And it's going to be that way anywhere in the United States. And don't look at it as a horrible thing, all this change, old dying away. Become a community that looks at all the opportunities that are springing up now and what you can become. The cool thing is location, location, location doesn't mean squat anymore. We're Juneau County. We got some of the biggest empty spaces of anywhere in the state. But what a wonderful place to sit in the middle of the woods and come up with one of the country's top 100 new products, which we've done. Pete and Well Industries, some engineers that lost their job when one of the old companies died away. I call them my little engineers in the woods. They invented a teardrop camper. Right now their backlog is 2 years. And they built a new 20,000 square foot facility. But you know what? They got 2-year backlog on their main product. They've already developed a new innovation for that product. And by the way, they've also developed a new corporation that deals with aircraft components that they came up with. They got it now. They know the proper steps to explore an idea. They're motivated by the club. He just got voted in as our president last night. And he knows the proper ways, and he's networked in our club. There's almost nowhere where we can't get with our club. We've got into places even the state couldn't get in. That's a culture. When I talk about club, I'm talking about a culture of people working together on Main Street, in manufacturing. Manufacturing saying, hey, we want the same culture within. You know, you look at Dyersville. They developed a culture with that one casting company. And all of a sudden, you've got the company that says, you know, we're big, and this is our core competency, and we don't want to mess with that little thing. So somebody in the company jumps out and says, I'll mess with it. And all of a sudden, you've got 4 companies. They all do casting, but they all found their little niche. That's what's happening in Juneau County. Walker Stainless, our biggest corporation, you know, was having stuff water jet cut. And the guy steps up and says, you know, you're doing an awful lot of that. Would you mind if I started my own business? Would you be my customer, my first customer? And he said, well, sure, we'd love that. And then he stepped out and he not only got them as a core customer, but he found another company that wanted to use their services, and another, and another, and another. Now he's expanding and growing. And it happens time and time again. That is an entrepreneurial and innovative culture that is expanding and grasping new opportunities that are posing themselves in the 21st century. So that's what we want to do here. And that, I know, is what you're going to be led into today. So be radical in your thinking. You know, be a little anxious to do something big because of the fact that we're already behind the 8 ball. If you want to talk about change, talk about it with your kids. Your kindergartners are already so way more used to change than we'll ever be. That is their life. They have no problem walking up to some gizmo, no matter what it is, and they don't even know what it is. They don't even read the directions. They start punching the buttons and figuring it out. Where we stand there, we're scared to death, you know. We got a group coming behind us that are now going to start changing things rapidly. Remember, we've been holding things back, us old people. And I don't mean me, I mean some of you. We've been holding it back. No longer is it going to be held back. We're going to have young people coming up that, you know, if you want to do the coolest thing, you know, look on the internet for life-changing, world-changing. You know, it used to be that we came out every decade with maybe something that was really, you know, life-changing. The railroad caused an industry shift, you know, and it would take 10, 20 years to do it. Now you look on the internet, and every day you'll see 2 or 3 or 4 things that are world-changing. They just have to be implemented. They just need us to get out of the way. It's just amazing the things that you'll see out there in technology that is now going to be starting to throw into our everyday lives. Remember when we talked about Google? Let's look back before Google. It wasn't that long ago, people. It wasn't that long ago. And and it's starting to change rapidly. Google now, I was thinking when I was driving over here, and I'm sitting there, thinking about what I'm going to say, and I remember, I started laughing to myself, because I remember back in my day, I just loved it when a girl Googled me, But now, today, it's not such a good thing. If she Googles me, it means she's checking me out on the internet. And believe me, if my daughters are going to go out with somebody they don't know very well, they are checked out. They're Googled, they're blogged, they're everything you can imagine, so they even know, if there's any dirt, they've got it before they even get together. Incredible day that we live in, for marketing, for doing things new, for redefining ourselves. If you've said, this is what I do, you're in dangerous territory. Because it may have to change tomorrow and the day after. If you're a retail and all of a sudden Walmart moves in, you change. You become the fast, eat the slow. You become this and you become that. You want to have a culture that allows you to step this way and fail, step that way and fail, step this way and succeed. Because you have to move, you have to be fast, you have to try. So this is where it's going to be exciting today, and I'm going to leave you with that. This is where, it's like the lottery. You can't win if you don't play. So today, begin playing. This is your chance to play and define yourself. Start getting into a world and a culture altogether that you can, lifelong, be changing, exciting. You aren't doing it alone anymore. You're not the Midwest anymore. You have all these people in the room, and you're going to find a lot more out there that want to be a part of making you successful. Whether it be a kid here in high school that thinks nothing of developing a website, or whether it be somebody in a manufacturing that says, step on in. I'd like to take a look at your idea, and I can help you tweak it because we got some resources in here. That's what we want to become. So with that, I encourage you. I thank you for inviting me, but I encourage you, really delve into it. Play. Jump into the lottery today.